There was a boy named Ethan who lived in a quiet town in England. Ethan was bright, imaginative, and always full of ideas. He wanted to learn painting, write stories, and even dreamed of starting his own little business one day. But there was one problem. Ethan wasted time. He didn't mean to. He loved watching videos, chatting online, and scrolling endlessly through things that gave him quick pleasure but left him empty afterward. He often told himself, "I'll start tomorrow." But tomorrow somehow never came. One Saturday morning, Ethan sat at his desk. A blank canvas lay before him, brushes waiting, colors ready. But instead of painting, he picked up his phone. Hours passed. When he finally looked up, the sun was setting, and his canvas was still white. Ethan sighed. Another day gone, and I did nothing. That night, he drifted into sleep with a heavy heart. But what he saw in his dream would change his life forever. He found himself standing in front of a gigantic building, taller and wider than any he had ever seen. It looked like a grand library, with golden doors and marble pillars that shimmered in moonlight. Above the entrance, words were carved into stone, "The Library of Lost Hours." Curiosity pulled Ethan inside. The air was cool and silent. Endless shelves stretched upward, each filled with glowing jars. Each jar seemed to hold tiny streams of light, swirling like captured moments of time. An old man with silver hair appeared, wearing a long robe and carrying a lantern. His eyes were kind but sharp, like he had seen more than 1,000 lifetimes. "You shouldn't be here," the man said softly. "Where am I?" Ethan whispered. The old man's lantern cast a glow on the shelves. "This," he said, "is where all the hours of your life are stored. Every moment you have lived, every second you have wasted." Ethan's eyes widened. "My hours?" The man nodded. He guided Ethan to a shelf labeled with his name. On it were hundreds of jars, each glowing faintly. The old man picked one up and handed it to him. Inside the jar, Ethan saw himself, scrolling on his phone, laughing at meaningless videos, lying in bed staring at the ceiling. The light in the jar flickered weakly. "These," the man said, "are the hours you wasted." Ethan's stomach sank. "But they're just small moments, just a few hours here and there." The old man's eyes grew sad. "A few hours may feel small, but together they shape your life. Look." He lifted his lantern, and the shelves around them came alive. Thousands of jars flickered dimly. Ethan saw days of wasted time stacked upon each other, moments he had thought were harmless, but now stood before him as lost pieces of his own existence. Ethan felt his throat tighten. Can I take them back?" The old man shook his head gently. "No one can take back lost hours. Time moves forward, never backward. But you can decide what you will do with the hours that still remain." The man led Ethan deeper into the library until they reached a locked door. It was made of glass, and inside were jars that glowed brighter than the sun itself. They were so radiant, Ethan had to shield his eyes. "What's in there?" he asked. The old man's voice softened. "These are the hours you could have lived, but you didn't. The paintings you never painted, the books you never wrote, the skills you never learned, the memories you never created. They remain locked away, forever unrealized." Ethan's heart ached. He pressed his hand against the glass. He saw himself inside, standing proudly in front of finished artworks, traveling, smiling with friends and family, building a life of meaning. But none of it had happened. Tears filled his eyes. Why did I waste so much?" The old man placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Because you believed you had endless tomorrows. But Ethan, life is not made of tomorrows. It is made of todays. And every today you waste is a tomorrow you lose." Ethan woke up with a start, his pillow damp from tears. Morning sunlight streamed into his room. His phone buzzed beside him, flashing with notifications. For a moment, he reached for it out of habit. But then he stopped. He looked at the blank canvas, the untouched brushes, the books he had bought but never read. The dream returned to him, sharp and heavy. The glowing jars, the locked door, the wasted hours. With trembling hands, he pushed his phone aside. He dipped his brush into paint and made his first stroke. It was messy, clumsy, but it was real. That day, Ethan worked harder than he ever had. He studied, painted, created. The clock still ticked, but this time he wasn't wasting it. Weeks passed. Ethan still struggled at times. Distractions whispered, tempting him back. But whenever he felt weak, he remembered the library of lost hours. He remembered the glowing jars locked away forever, and it gave him strength. Slowly, his room filled with paintings, his notebooks filled with ideas, his heart filled with peace. Ethan wasn't perfect, but he was